So the cop is right there. I'm like, excuse me, officer. You told me.
Who's the antagonist now?
I said that. I said, you told me not to antagonize him, but if I smack the shit out of him, am I wrong? He said, well, you would be wrong for that. Yo.
What up, what up?
What's up, world?
What up, world? What up, coworkers? Thank you for tuning in, guys, to another episode of the We Outside Afterwork podcast. I am Dana.
I'm your boy Aaron. Good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time y'all listen to it.
Whatever time y'all tuning in.
Hopefully it's 3 a.m. if it's the audio, and hopefully it's 8 p.m. if it's the video on Wednesdays, Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
You already know.
Yes. So it is just me and Aaron again this week. We did just want to just have a few episodes where it's just us, right? So y'all can get back to
our beautiful
vibes.
Faces.
Yeah. So we are going to start with the hot takes game.
All three of us?
Today.
No? Oh, usually we do hot takes with a guest.
Yeah. But
we want to break the ice with us because it's been a little tense for me. You feel me? So
for you?
Yeah, for me. So we gonna have some fun.
Okay.
All right. And Dana beat me in rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, so I decide that you go first.
So I'm going to go first. Catfishing. Should someone be punished by law if they catfish? I'm going to start.
Okay.
I like The Circle. I think The Circle is a wonderful TV show, right?
That's my shit.
And one of the greatest parts of The Circle is somebody a catfish? Yes or no? And me personally, I don't give a fuck. Like, I think if you're a catfish, you are who you are. It is what it is. Everyone needs a mask sometimes to really feel as comfortable as they can.
It depends on the scenario.
What, dating?
I can agree with The Circle because have there been any? Yeah, the one person that I remember that one was Jaleesa. She was pretending to be her husband.
And then her husband ended up winning too?
No, he was like top 2 though.
Okay.
But he didn't win. But yeah, when it comes to like the show Catfish, I think it's fucked up. And because we told our catfish stories on episode 1 of the podcast and how I felt, and I low-key felt traumatized. And mine wasn't even that bad, but it was still like, what was the reason? But
I look at it like this. If you are that genuine person that you say that you are.
That's bullshit.
It's not.
It is.
It's not, because you establish a relationship with people based on relationships, not just based on what you look like or even what I think you look like. If our bond is dope as fuck, then our bond is dope as fuck. You can't take that away.
That's usually what didn't happen with the show Catfish. So I used to binge watch the show, and then when there were catfish who said, oh, everything is me besides the picture, the person automatically either friend zones them or they still feel betrayed because the person still lied about what they looked like.
Yeah,
and the reason why it's like the reason why they were attracted to them is because of the pictures.
And then they realized that, damn, I'm actually not solely attracted to someone based on how they look. I'm attracted to somebody based on how they make me feel, how we communicate. So I think we definitely should give people more grace. It's a reason that people are being catfished.
I think we should give them grace, but they should get like a fine or something.
How much you gonna fine them? Like $23?
I would say no, like $500
for catfish.
Yes, if especially in that Matt Tail documentary. Let's bring it back to that day one of our podcast. But like, to me, it seemed like he was just so invested, and it really just changed, I don't know, the course of things for him.
It only changed it when he found out that she was a catfish. If he would have just accepted that Renaya, or whatever her name is just who she is, he would have been good. But he was all emotionally invested because people made fun of him.
I would say if you keep catfishing, because there were some repeated offenders on the show, you should get fined $500. And then if you like do it even more after you said you stopped, you should do community service or go to jail. You know, the only people I really don't like that catfish are like those anonymous people on like Twitter and stuff like that. That's where they like, oh, I'm a black profile picture and I'm always talking about black people in a negative way. Those are the only motherfuckers I really don't fuck with. The only anonymous I've seen was the people saying that they were like hackers and they would hack the government.
just a random person, anybody on Twitter or Instagram that's just a profile. Like, we got a nice little celebrity following, if you get my gist, of fake profiles. So it's like, that shit should be illegal. Like, that's some shit that needs to be punishable by fines. Like, I don't want to see, like, I got Kevin Hart 212 as my follower.
Well, usually those are bots. Like they're so I watched some documentary on YouTube, like when I went down the YouTube rabbit hole, where I know they do this in Africa and some parts of India, where they have like farms of these companies that hire people to make a whole bunch of fake Instagram and social media accounts.
So corny,
and they're usually used to like either sway like governments and votes and stuff, or in the celebrities case, like they usually will like scam other people because these people are thinking they're talking to the celebrity, and then it's like, oh, well, can you send me $700 or something? And people are very gullible. Yeah, like how many people do you know also that's been scammed on Instagram?
I don't know. I remember I was on Craigslist one time, and I was looking for an apartment, and this motherfucker was like, oh, I got a nice apartment, but the key is under a rock, and you got to put this code in, but you got to send me $500 to get the code before you... I'm like, what? What kind of idiot you think I am?
Right. But because you have common sense, I probably know about 5 different people who have been scammed from Instagram trying to flip $500 to $5,000.
Well, we got them Wake Up Now people and them pyramid scheme people.
Forex.
One of my homeboys, me and him, we went way back to Kane days. And he was trying to do one of them flipping schemes. And he was like, oh, you my boy, you supposed to support me. I'm like, nigga, I don't support nobody that do this shit. I don't give a fuck if my blood do that.
Yeah.
Like, stupid as shit. But
well, I think they should get a ticket or a fine if you're catfishing. So my hot takes card is... meeting someone through a dating app is less meaningful than meeting them in person. We just had this conversation last night. So
can we get some clarity on that question?
What do you mean?
Do we mean like if we meet someone in person versus if we meet someone through a dating app? Yes. I just want to make sure that's all right.
Yeah, I think it's like if you have the intention on trying to find someone to be with, it says it's... meeting someone through a dating app is less meaningful than meeting them in person. So for me, I'm kind of on the fence with this because I do feel like dating apps are forced, and I feel like it's not authentic and it's not genuine, and you're both trying to just like see if you have that connection based off like basic ass conversation. So, but then with meeting people in person, I think it depends on where you meet them. Like if you're out doing things that you like to do, like going to concerts and shit like that, and then you just so happen to meet someone at this event that you like doing, then it's kind of, it might have a chance just because you now know you have that in common. But again, you still just don't know until you spend time with them.
I think neither of them is more important than the other. I think it's a little bit more ideal to meet somebody in person than a dating app. But I know a bunch of couples that are happily married, like probably happier married than the couples that I've seen that met each other and went through the rigor and all this kind of stuff.
So they met on the dating apps?
Really? I know a bunch of folks that
I don't know anybody who have met someone on a dating app and it actually worked out.
Yeah, one of my closest friends, she just had a baby. They literally, she had a party one day. She's like, oh, this is my boyfriend. We met on Tinder or some shit like that. She was proud of it. And it was kind of dope because it was like my first success story of seeing like, oh, people can meet on dating apps and really fall in love genuinely. Oops.
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it works out.
They can meet on dating apps and genuinely fall in love. And it's not meaningless conversation if you have the right intentions. I do think a lot of people have the wrong intentions when it comes to dating apps. And I'll just give you a quick little story. When I first heard about Tinder, it had to be 2014, 15. I was working in New York City, and these white guys, they were like, yeah, I can hook up with any chick I want. I just go on this website, take them on a date, take them back to the crib. And that was what Tinder was. Yeah,
so, it was literally hookup because Tinder started when I was in college, so like 2014. And it was more so just like everyone at college was on it and was talking about it and was like, oh, you should get on it too. So it wasn't necessarily to meet people outside of, you know, our circle of being in school, but it was more so the hookup app as well. Like, oh, I see so-and-so, like I seen them around campus, and then, you know, you potentially have a conversation. So I can agree though. I would say one or the other is really not more meaningful. So, yeah, I don't know.
I think it would actually make things a little bit more meaningful if we separate it. Like, yo, this is a hookup app. This is where you go to find people that you just want to have sex with.
It's one of those things that's like, it's said, but it's not said, you know?
Yeah, but it needs to be, because people are actually looking for love. And there's a lot of genuine people on these apps, but then you got people that aren't genuine. You got these disingenuous people trying to sneak their way into some pussy or some dick. And then now you got people heartbroken and people don't trust love. So I definitely recommend somebody out there. I don't know if it's illegal to solicit sex that way. I think that's kind of like Ashley Madison and all that kind of shit. But it needs to happen. So. Yeah,
okay. Well, let's get into the comments then, since we're on the cusp of dating. The whole thing that happened with Emily K. Williams and her saying she wouldn't date a bus driver.
Did you see the
blah, blah, blah.
Did you see the clarity with like DJ MV and Charlotte?
The Breakfast Club interview. I actually watched the whole interview.
Yeah, the beige rage. You seen all that? Yeah. Shout out to the light skinned folks out here that get angry.
Oh God. Yeah. Are you talking about me?
Oh no, I ain't never seen you angry before.
Okay. I don't get angry.
Yeah, I ain't never seen you angry.
I don't even, I get flustered when like I'm drinking, but that's really it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's anger.
It's not, but like I'm saying, when I change color, it's usually because I'm flustered. Like my face will get pink.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pay attention to that.
Okay. Anyway, so I would say her second comments where she kind of tried to double down and say how if the guy didn't own the bus or whatever, the company, that it was mediocre and average. That I feel like was
a slap in the face.
It was a little much, but I can understand what she was trying to say.
Okay, what was she trying to say?
What, like on the Breakfast Club interview, what she was saying was that we need to always like strive for better. And that was something that me and you talked about, where we don't like feeling stagnant and complacent because we just feel like we're not really doing much with our lives. So I think what she was trying to say, and it just came off kind of crazy, was that if you're a bus driver and that's solely it, like that's sort of mediocre. But if you're a bus driver and you're also maybe saving for something else to get a house, or you have like a side hustle or something that's like getting you to the next level, that's, what does she call it, like excellence? I don't know.
I personally think that she came off entirely elitist in this entire conversation, and I don't think she said what she intended to say. I think it's a money thing, and it's okay to be a money thing.
It is. Because she was saying that she had all these accolades, she had businesses, she was an attorney. So it was more so like a financial aspect.
I also want people to recognize, like, some people really enjoy modesty, right?
Everyone wants to be a business owner.
And everyone doesn't want all this glitz and glamour and the luxury, right? Some people are very, very content with living a life where they're taking care of their families. They're able to do certain amenities like vacations and whatnot, where they don't have to do the fucking most, right? I know plenty of bus drivers.
Not everyone has that mentality of like, all right, I want to be at the top of the top. Like, if I'm comfortable, and I'm not speaking for me because I'm not like this, but some people, like, they do like feeling complacent. Like, they do like the routine.
I don't want to say they like feeling complacent, because I don't think that's
all right,
fair.
I don't want to use complacent then. Like, they like having just a stable everyday routine, right? Where they don't have side hustles. They don't have this. They don't have that.
They don't have too much to worry about.
Right. Like, it's the responsibility thing as well. So, I mean, I don't have that mentality. So, like, I necessarily can't really relate. But I do understand that people are different.
I've had that mentality before. And granted, it's changed now. But being able to just kind of, like, do whatever it is that you need to do, have a stable enough career where everything is taken care of. What's wrong with that? Like, I don't think we strive for much more than that if we're able to do what we need to do. But to call things mediocre and average, and I get where she was coming from, it's really a knock on everyday people, blue collar people. Like, she credited HVAC workers, but a plumbing job is looked at as blue collar and average and mediocre. Do you want it to be the owner of the HVAC system?
I think it's more so, it's like essential, right? Like, having those trades, to me, those are essential jobs that
But it's so like, many essential jobs.
Yeah, right. But that's my point. But for her, it just seems like she more so wants the person who's like the top of the top and who's like giving people orders and most likely has more money than her, and because she has so many accolades, she has a lot of money,
and that's okay. And that's,
right. And I just think this conversation, though, like like, I get it, but I just think it's been talked about so much to where I'm not necessarily that's interested in, you know, trying to dissect what she meant.
Of course.
But yeah, like.
But it does create an idea for me to see what standards actually are when it comes to relationships, right? Like, obviously, you have a vision of the type of man that you would want. How do you create that standard without making someone feel offended by it? Like, I can't just go around. I mean, I can to say I don't like fat girls.
It's a preference. Like, it comes down to preference. But you don't necessarily have to say, like, oh, I don't like this. You just say what you do like and what you do want. So you saying what you want in a person doesn't automatically mean that you are trying to make someone else feel bad. Unless you're saying all these things about the opposite of what you want, then it's like, yeah, that sounds kind of fucked up. So I think if she would have just took the approach with just saying what she needs and what she wants and just left it at that, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
I remember we had a conversation in an earlier podcast, maybe like episode 3 or 4, about jobs of men that you wouldn't date, right? Like, I think it was like club promoters and shit like that.
Is that what I said?
I don't remember. Truck drivers, stuff like that. There's a list, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you believe that's a preconceived notion, or do you believe that, nah, these people really are?
Well, it comes from me knowing these people. Like, either I know them through friends or friends who have dated these types, or the ones who come to me and try to talk to me knowing they're in relationships. Like, I know what kind of jobs they have. For example, the truck drivers. So when I tried to use dating apps once upon a time, there were a lot of truck drivers on there. And I guess it makes sense if you were a truck driver because you're going to different cities. So if you want to like meet up with someone and like just do that for the moment, which goes back to like, all right, this is just a hookup because that's what it seemed like. And I never wanted to match with any of those because I'm like, I'm pretty sure wherever city you're going to, you have someone that you're trying to match with. So I was just like, nah, that's not for me.
And if those truck drivers were smart, they would go on Hinge because you can change your location settings to say, I live in XYZ. I got you.
Don't we got Tone, the truck driver?
Yeah, Tone. If you out here driving trucks, you know, you go ahead and you tell people.
He know what's up.
But I'm curious because I feel like, and I know we don't want to talk about dating too long, but are people?
I know how I feel about this.
Are people actually dating to love somebody regardless of whatever these conditions are, their jobs, their look, their this, their that? Or are they loving to gain something? Like, when I hear Ebony talk about it, I feel like, oh, you got a mediocre job, you got an average job. I need somebody that has something, generational wealth and different things like that. That's something that you're gaining.
Well, even when you are getting into a relationship or a marriage with someone, like, to me, like, you want to come together. So I want to bring the things that I have accomplished to the table as well, because I don't necessarily want to be a housewife or want to be taken care of. So I do have these things that I've accomplished. Like, I went to college, I have a degree, I'm starting my own business, I'm going to potentially have property. So if I'm doing all of these things, and then because we have great conversation and that's all you can bring to the table, like, that to me is not enough. But like, I want to know that you have ambition, because ambition is actually key for me as well. So I want to know that you're trying to strive for better and strive for like more for yourself, so that when we eventually do come together, like, we have an abundance.
What does what you've accomplished have to do with me loving you, in all honesty? Like, if you have $1 billion,
love is not enough for me.
Okay. If you have $1 billion and you have business and this and that, that doesn't mean anything to me. Because at the end of the day, I love you for you. You can have none of that, and I should still love you, right?
You have to build towards that.
Why?
Because if you are with someone for X amount of time and like you guys are living comfortable, and then like you have built that connection and that foundation together, and God forbid one person loses everything.
But you didn't build together to live comfortably. You built together because y'all are building together. The living comfortable is an additive to that. Most
times, like, let's talk about our age group and our demographic. So our demographic is between, I believe it's 24 and 35. So in those age groups, like, you're either working, like you have a full-time job, you potentially have businesses or like different streams of income. So if you are just like not doing anything and just focusing your your time on dating, that to me doesn't make sense, because now your priorities aren't in order.
My priority is love.
No, because that doesn't make, like, okay.
I'm just saying.
So you would if you had nothing going for yourself, right? Like, you didn't have your job, you didn't have
Am I not entitled to love because I
no
have
one's saying
struggles?
you're not entitled to love. I'm saying, like, why is love your number one priority when you don't really have anything for yourself going on? Like, why aren't you putting yourself first? Like, why is love being put above you?
Maybe that other person is what pushes that motivation and that ambition, right? You just said together we build, right? The same way we can build
Once
together,
I
you
know
can build
that,
me
like,
up.
because I'm also working on myself as well. Like, I don't want to be working on myself and then you're coming with literally nothing, right? Like, you're living with your parents, you don't even have a car, you don't know how to do, like, simple things like have a bank account, and yet you want me to be with you because of love. Like,
Yes.
how would I get to just be like, oh, I love you for you, and
that's
you don't
what love is.
but you don't have any ambition? To me, you need ambition.
But see,
as well.
that's a difference, right? Because ambition is a character trait. That's something that you actually look into.
And that's
a
what I
person,
need.
which is fine. And I think that's what differentiates the conversation from ambition versus accolades, right? Your accolades has nothing to do with how ambitious you are. Some people get lucky. Some people are born fortunate. So are those people still supposed to be loved more because I walked into $1 million?
No.
But that's what I'm saying, because they have accolades. But that same
you
person,
get accolades by working
Not
hard.
everybody.
Not everyone, but for the most part, the working class and the
I
majority
think-
of black people, we don't come into money.
yeah, but
We have to work hard for everything that we have.
it's a lot of black people that don't have a lot of money that you might look at as, oh, you ain't shit, you ain't got nothing. That's just as ambitious, but things don't go their way. I know I'm that person, right? I got a lot
But I'm
of
not
things.
just looking at what you have, because I don't drive a Benz. I don't have like a big ass house. Like, these are things that I know that I'm striving for, but I don't have right now. But when it comes to getting to know the person and like seeing if there's love there, first of all, you don't know if you love someone until you've spent time with them, until you've done different experiences. It's not just like, oh, I'm dating, we went out on a few dates, oh, I love you. Like, that's not how love works.
For some.
Not for me.
Yeah, and I think all of this is nuanced, right? I believe what works for Dana, what works for Aaron, what works for our coworkers is all different, right?
Yeah, everyone has their preference.
But at the same time, I think a lot more people are loving to gain than they are loving to love. Like, it's like marriage is this financial opportunity. Marriage is this governmental contract, which is why I don't believe in it.
Okay.
So, but we're going to get off of that because, you know,
we could definitely
go.
talk about it for days, and it's just such a draining conversation, because at the end of the day,
It's mediocre.
we all like love and look for different things. Like, you might like someone just for love and like what they look like and if they're in shape and shit like that, but it's just different. So I can't say like how I'm dating and looking for love is the same as you or like the next person,
And I can't
because
say
it
I don't
varies.
like fat girls because that's fucked up.
But you don't.
I don't have a problem with larger women. I think everyone deserves love.
Yeah, everyone deserves love, but just not for me. Not like that. Anyway, okay. Let's get into something more serious, because, you know, we like to inform you guys and let you know what's going on, just so that we're aware of things. So recently, I think it was last week, like last Wednesday,
Yeah.
there was an active shooter in Midtown Atlanta.
Probably like the 567th active shooter this year alone.
Yeah, and but this story was a little different to me. So he did end up killing one person, unfortunately. He did wound, I believe it was 4 or 5 in total. But he was a veteran, and apparently was like a hospital that he was getting treatment at, he wasn't happy with his treatment. So then he ended up like opening fire and killing someone. But to me, it's like, he clearly had mental illness, right? So I didn't see a story that explained this, but like, did he have like a gun that was registered to him, or he was just walking around with a gun?
I'm not too familiar with the details of the story, but as a military person, they probably gave him that opportunity to continue to arm himself because he served. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the details of
I don't
that.
know how you get a gun into a hospital, period. So.
Yeah, because they usually have not metal detectors. Yeah, but they usually have security. But either way, like they're not patting you. They're not patting you down. Yeah. Not at the hospital. Yeah, so it was very unfortunate and very sad because this was it said 191 mass shooting already, and 2023 is still, just starting. So
and
so
May
sad.
is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think we need to really have psych evaluations when it comes to gun ownership, especially for military veterans. Unfortunately, they go through a lot. The things that they've seen, the things that they've had to carry out and do, that weighs on you. PTSD is real. PTSD doesn't even only affect military individuals. It also affects these children that are dealing with all these school shootings, individuals in the hood that constantly deal with police violence and gang violence. It's a lot of things that people are dealing with, and I don't think we take the proper mental evaluations to really establish, like, yo, we need to pump our brakes on just giving guns out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, illegal weapons is also something you can't really control. So
yeah, I think mental health awareness is a big thing, and it is something that should be more available within our communities, especially the Black communities. I know they were saying there's not that many Black therapists, right? Like you have to like really go looking for them. So for me, that's like a number one thing that I look for when I do get a new therapist, just because like the racial thing does play a huge factor to me. Like if I'm going to talk to you about like my deepest, darkest things and stuff that like I'm thinking about and going through, I need to feel as though like you can relate to me on that level, because we are discriminated against in like a whole bunch of different ways, and like I just need someone who looks like me, who can relate. And
I know it's a lot of like networks that highlight who is the like Black therapist and all that kind of stuff.
There's a website for it?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but we'll look it up and we'll try to get that to you. It's very important that word of mouth is spread, and not every Black therapist is a great one either, right?
Yeah, that's not saying that they're automatically just amazing, but it makes me feel comfortable.
So we need individuals who experience positive therapeutic sessions to share the message. I know a lot of people, because I'm not the biggest on therapy kind of guy, because Black folks, we kind of hesitant when it comes to therapy at sometimes. But when they give me pointers, they're like, listen, this is someone that I've actually spoken to, which makes you feel a lot more comfortable. So you like recommendations from your friends? I would prefer a recommendation because it doesn't come off like some random, just like doctors. If I ever went to a doctor that somebody didn't go to, I feel a little uncomfortable. But if someone's like, oh, this is my child's pediatrician, or this is the orthodontist that I use, it feels a lot more comfortable. My
OBGYN, she's a Black woman, and I've experienced, like, my first OBGYN was like a white male.
I think you told that story too.
Just because I did, but I'm going to tell you like the difference. So the reason why I had him was because there weren't many to choose from in my area at the time of where I lived. And this was my first doctor, so I didn't know what to expect. So I'm like, oh, okay, what he's doing is fine. Like, he's not really making me feel uncomfortable. But if you guys listen to the episode where we did the recap for 2022, and I mentioned like the whole IUD thing and how like he was trying to give me some shit that was like generic and not what we talked about, the new Black doctor that I go to now, like instantly I just felt different. Like I just felt comfortable, and then she's like very gentle, asking questions, like more like communicative, and that alone I'm like, damn, like
I'll this spread is eagle for you, baby, anytime. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm sorry.
Nah. But either way, like just that alone goes a long way, because like that shit is uncomfortable. Like every woman knows going to the OBGYN is uncomfortable. That's why a lot of them don't go. Like I got family members who they're against it, and it's kind of crazy because you still got to get checked because it's a doctor, but because they don't feel comfortable with their doctor, they just don't go.
And to continue the mental health awareness conversation, did you hear about the Jordan Neely situation in New York City with the Marine choking him out on the subway?
So I saw the video, like I saw the headline, and I kept scrolling.
Wow.
Just because there was a video. And I'm at a point
PTSD?
where I do. Like, I can't watch that anymore. Like, after the George Floyd video went viral, whenever there's, like, actual footage of someone dying, I can't. Like, I truly can't.
Yeah, I did my best not to watch it either. What I realized, though, is when you hear these stories, I don't think a lot of black folks are given as much grace, black and brown people specifically, where it's like something's about to get carried out, potentially, let's eliminate the threat, right? That's the automatic cause for any black or brown person in these situations.
So what was the story? Like, what happened?
So allegedly, and this is just from what I've read, because I obviously didn't watch the video, he was being belligerent on the train.
The black guy?
The black guy. Okay. Some said that he was threatening people. I even heard he might have thrown something at some point in time. But then an ex-military or Marine decided to do a chokehold from behind him and ended up suffocating to death.
Why did he kill him?
I don't think he... This is me making a speculation.
But because you just said an ex-Marine, right? So this is a trained person for combat. You mean to tell me you didn't know how long to choke someone before they died? Like, I feel like he knew that.
I believe that's why a lot of people are saying it's murder, because you do know your capabilities, right? Anyone that does jujitsu or MMA, they teach you these type of things, like pressure points and different shit like that. So just like Eric Garner in New York City, when the cop choked him, this is an illegal chokehold. You know that. So don't play in our face like this wasn't intentional. At the same time, it's just like, we've all been on those New York City trains. We've all seen some shit.
I don't even take the train anymore. The subway.
We've all seen some shit, whether it's somebody doing something crazy or whatever the case may be. But we got to recognize most of the homeless in America are suffering from mental ailments. We have to understand that, like, sometimes the best thing for us to do is understand them, try to help them, right? And it's not always about giving money.
He could have easily talked to this man. Like, what was the reason to put it? Like, was he like charging this ex-Marine?
That part I didn't see.
Okay, I want to follow this story and actually read up on it, because when I saw the video and the title, the I was like, okay, I can't watch this. So I'll definitely read an article about that, because that's so fucked up.
But what I've been seeing is a whole bunch of those anonymous individuals on Twitter. And everyone's choosing sides. It's like, oh, well, he should have died because he had 40 misdemeanors and all this kind of stuff. He's a criminal.
You don't know if he has misdemeanors by looking at him.
Which
so people
is
look dumb.
The simplest response to idiot comments like that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of, and I'm gonna blanket statement white people here, because that's usually who I see it from. It's just a lot of white people online that just, parrot the same shit.
They just want to, I feel like they just want to have something to say.
And they want to justify black bodies getting murdered.
Exactly. They want to justify like us being killed on camera. And it's like, why not try to, I don't even think, because they can't like relate, right? Like it goes back to like the systematic racism and the things that we suffer from. And you'll run into some, not all, but some of them, they act so delusional to where they act like, oh, it's not real. It's not affecting you directly. So, like, why do you care so much? There's always an excuse for them not to really understand, like, yo, this is what's actually going on.
I really do think white people are kind of delusional at sometimes, like you said. Like, and I'll give you a really, really simple story that actually happened at work. One of the managers at my old job, they got upset because we got a negative comment that said, oh, 2 individuals were speaking Spanish, and they were giggling. So that made me uncomfortable. So,
wait, your white manager said that?
No, the customer complained about it.
Okay.
So my old manager, we ended up talking about it, and she's like, yeah, that's messed up. You can't do that. You can't speak another language in front of a customer. God. You're supposed to speak English. That's the language that we speak, and that's a rule here. I said, with all due respect, I think that's a violation of someone's civil rights. You can't tell them that they can't speak the language that, for starters, that they were born speaking. Because I ask people,
shit like that, like, pisses me off. Because I've heard that before, where like they'll feel uncomfortable when someone is speaking a different language in front of them.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna lie and say I've never felt that that way. Like, we go in a Chinese store.
I was just in the nail salon today, and I always feel like they talking about me.
Yeah, and it's
but like I don't care.
But we're not gonna make a big deal about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, oh, what are y'all saying? Like, please don't talk in your native language in front of me. Like, what the fuck? Like, who am I to tell someone else how to speak?
And it's crazy because we know this. This is America, right? Where there is no official religion.
It goes back to white privilege. Like, they feeling like they have to police and like control shit because they're not comfortable with it. So, for example, my first apartment, what happened? I was doing something in the parking lot, and I think I just parked in an area where I wasn't supposed to park, but it was like real quick. I was throwing something out in the trash. And then this white man comes up to me and he was like, "Miss, you can't park there." And I'm like, "I know, I'm not going to be here long." So he was just standing there like with his hand on his hip. And I'm looking like,
my car would have never moved.
You?
I would have parked there every fucking day.
It was like a quick thing because I'm always on the go.
I'm
but
an
like,
asshole.
I
Don't
literally
fuck with me.
was thinking, I'm like, yo, he really thinks like, I'm like, he's watching me, so when I leave, like, he feels better about himself. Like, oh, I told her to leave. Like,
what do you gain from that?
What's wrong?
But that's
with
what
y'all?
they do. Like, we've seen these situations in these towns where these fucking, usually it's the Karens and all that kind of stuff, or the what's that shit called when the town together, they all have the same community. What's that shit called? Like a HUD or something? Homeowners.
HOA?
Yeah, homeowners association leaders and shit. If you don't get your PTA president head ass the fuck up out of here, I don't need
that
you
shit is so
policing
crazy
me.
to me.
You ain't no fucking body.
Like, they really think they're like the police of the
like,
world.
get your ass out of here. It be people cousins, it be their friends, their relatives. Like, you don't know who the fuck is in this neighborhood. It's not your responsibility.
But that's how they feel. That's how they walk around every day because they can, and because like the government does protect them. And unfortunately, when there are black people killed on camera by someone who is white, like they know that, like, they feel more comfortable doing that because of what has happened to where the white person got off. Which
Play
is
that
fucking
HOA
crazy.
shit on my property, it'll be DOA fucking around with me. I don't listen.
Yeah,
Because
listen.
I got an attitude problem. So
Oh, we know you crazy outside of here.
outside of work.
Yeah. Okay. So
Speaking of crazy,
stop. We're gonna just talk about a topic that recently happened yesterday.
probably
His birthday
this
was on
morning.
Cinco de Mayo. That's how I knew.
Yeah, but it's in Vegas, so.
I know, but like, okay, guys. So we're talking about the story where Chris Brown's team allegedly fought Usher.
And we don't have all the details, so we're not gonna make this simply about these two individuals having a skirmish.
Yeah, it was at his
yeah.
skating event. So Chris Brown's birthday was Cinco de Mayo, and Usher was there. It was a lot of celebrities. I saw Summer
Usher
Walker.
actually threw him the party.
Oh, he did. That's dope.
Usher threw him the party. Bow Wow, Mario sang happy birthday to him. It was a bunch of celebrities there. Tiana Taylor was there.
Yeah, allegedly Chris Brown and Tiana Taylor got into some type of argument, and then Chris Brown ran off. Usher like ran after him. And something happened to where they said Chris Brown and him got into an argument, and then apparently Usher got a bloody nose because he got hit in the face. But it was more so probably Chris Brown's team, because it goes back to that episode where we were talking about how he should be bigger than who he is, or how he's perceived. And I think it's the people he keeps around him, like his team. Like these people don't necessarily seem like they're the best company to be around, because like you're always seen in a negative light.
But also, and I don't want to make this too morbid, but when I look back at the Takeoff situation, sometimes the company that you keep, like you saying, can escalate a situation to the point where it probably isn't as deep as we really think it is.
And then alcohol is involved.
But something ends up happening where it's like, oh, I know you, it's y'all fault. Like, it could have literally not even been what it was.
I don't even
we
think Chris Brown
speculating.
was involved, to be honest. But because
I seen the one video, I seen Usher talking to him, but I didn't see anything after that.
Right. But like DJ M Pure was saying when he was saying how DJ Walla, because that's his name, right? How he was banned from Sayreville. And because like he was there, they more so blamed DJ Walla, saying, oh, well, it's him, because he's like the biggest name there. So of course, if it's an event for Chris Brown and Usher, and because of Chris Brown's history and how they always like view him in the media as like this fucking monster, they're gonna do that to their advantage. And I still feel like he probably got into some issues with some higher up people where like they take any little thing and they're ready to like have those titles about him because like they run the media, and media is the number one way to get like control of people.
And I know as a black man in America, one of the hardest things to do is to control your emotions, right? I'm gonna tell a story. Just happened today. Uh-oh. Surprise. And I had
outside the studio.
Yes, I had to control my emotions.
Okay, tell us about it. What happened?
So I was pulling out of the parking lot in the Wawa across the street, and I'm sitting at the sign ready to make my left hand turn, and this dude just bumps the back of my car. Now, granted, wasn't no damage. It wasn't anything crazy, but Kelly Blue Book, Carfax, you got some damages on your shit, you can't sell your car for the price that you're going to sell it.
Right.
So I'm going to do my due diligence as an American insurance owner, and I'm going to make a claim, right?
Right.
I simply expressed that to this individual, but for whatever reason, he declined to want to contribute to this conversation.
Let's also explain what he looked like.
He was a white Russian man.
Okay.
Foreign.
That's important.
Yeah. So in the midst of him declining to give me any information, because
did he give you attitude?
He did give me attitude because he felt like it was no damage and I was wasting his time.
But he
not
hit
worried
you.
about my time. He hit me.
Wow.
He said, "Oh, I didn't mean to do it. My foot came off the brake." Okay, well, you hit my shit.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, I'll do this the right way. I'm going to call the authorities, right?
Authorities.
Yes, the authorities, because I'm an American taxpayer, and they should service me if something wrong was happening to me. So I gave them a call. He's over there like, "Oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do it." I'm thinking this nigga ain't got no insurance or something, because clearly he don't want me to call the cops. So I'm like, whatever. I'm doing it. All right, then start it. I'll give you $200 if you just
now
let
he's
it go.
Trying to like
he's trying to
give
bribe
you
me.
some money.
Cool. Don't want your money. Don't need your money.
It's gonna be more than $200 too.
So what ends up happening is the cop gets there, and the first thing the cop says is, "Don't worry, I'll handle it. Just don't antagonize him." First off, why the fuck do you think I'm gonna antagonize him? I'm
because
clearly the coolest head
That's
here.
Why.
So I'm chilling. I give him the information. I express myself. License, registration, insurance, all that. You can have it. This motherfucker ain't trying to give it to you. That's cool, because I'm filing a claim as we speak. All I need him to do is give me his name and his phone number. He don't want to do that? Cool. So the cop ends up getting all the information and whatnot, and then he passes it to me, passes the dude it. And again, he said, "Hey, everything's okay. You can go ahead about your business. Just don't antagonize each other."
Why he keep using that word?
I don't know.
Hold on, what the cop look like?
He was a white man with some glasses. Little nerd.
Either way, he's taking his side low key.
It seemed like it. So then as the white Russian dude is taking pictures, he goes, "I think you're doing this because I'm white Russian and nigga." I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Wow.
I'm like,
that's fucked up.
So the cop is right there. I'm like, "Excuse me, officer. You told me."
Who's the antagonist now?
I said that. I said, "You told me not to antagonize him, but if I smack the shit out of him, am I wrong?" He said, "Well, you would be wrong for that." I said, "You need to talk to him, because he this close to me beating the shit out of him."
That is so
and
crazy.
I would be fucked up if I would drag his Russian ass all the way from here to Alaska. I would be the fucking problem.
You go to jail.
I would go to jail. And it's like, you need to corral this motherfucker.
Even though he was the antagonist.
Yeah, but black men in America, we constantly have to fight with this idea that we can't express ourselves. Like, the moment I get angry, I'm a problem. I'm an angry black man.
And you still was calm and collective, right?
I had to be.
He's the one, because you know what it is too? Like, because black men are seen as like an aggressor to white men, most likely, because you guys are bigger, which you are not an aggressor. But it's like if you started cursing at him and like doing the most, and let's say you did end up smacking the Russian guy. Yeah, like I feel like would have gladly put you in handcuffs and like took you to the station and did like the most, even though the other guy deserved it.
And it's never the first person, it's always the second person. So regardless of whatever this individual said to me, I guess that's not a crime. So me responding with physicality. This is why when I told you I was in the club that day, sometimes you just want to smack the shit out of people, because you got to get this shit off, because we walk in with a lot of rage. It's a lot of rage.
A lot of built up animosity.
But we do our best to really hone it in, because the moment that we act out and we express ourselves, we are now a target. And we've expressed how in situations where innocent black men are constantly getting killed, whether it's local law enforcement, the authorities, the homeowners association, or some random ass white man.
Speaking of, I'm sorry you had to go through that like right before recording, because that was fucking crazy. But you got his information and everything so you can file your claim?
Yeah, they got some bullshit ass insurance.
Oh, okay. But I'm just glad you were able to get his information. But my aunt told me something, and like, I don't know how true this is, but when it goes back to systematic racism, so apparently every black person, their social security card
number?
is even in the middle. Is that true? Is that
Mine is an even number.
Mine is 2, hers is 2, and like most of my family have even digits. The 2 digits in the middle are even. So even if you, let's say, are trying to get a loan for a house, right, or like some type of loan through the bank, and you mark any other race or even other, they look at your social and already know that you're black. And this is like when you're born, you're given a social security card. So I was thinking about that, and I'm like, damn, like this is like the beginning of it.
If anybody wants to send their social security number to us for validation and fact checking, feel free to give it to me.
You don't have to give the full you don't have to get the full social security number, but like if you can just confirm if you are black that the 2 digits in the middle are even, that proves
I do
point.
believe I met somebody that don't have an even number. I believe one of my brothers might have an odd number, but I do recall growing up with that as like an urban legend. I don't want to say it's facts, and then they try to flag our video with
no, I'm not saying it's facts, but it's alleged, right? Because if you say alleged, that means it's not true, but it could be true. But like, I don't know, if you guys watch this and you want to, let's say, compare, just say yes and no in the comments. But you're a minority. So Marvin, our engineer, he said his is even too. It could just be minorities, but I've only asked black people because that's what I thought it was. Anyway, any last things you want to mention on this episode?
I do want to mention how Jaden had a monster performance this weekend in his basketball game.
Oh, congratulations!
And he's been invited to the Dream All-American game in September in Delaware. So
is that big?
It seems big. It seems like something that's really monumental for a 12-year-old. So we're really doing things to hone in just him as a leader, and the one thing I get out of being a parent, because this weekend, I got my little wristband on. I felt like a real sports dad. Like I was on the sidelines, I was yelling, I was a little bit more engaged this time. Because usually I try to be very calm. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll talk to Jaden and I'll give him pointers and different things like that. But no,
it seemed like he's like a superstar now. Like he's coming into his leadership, like you were saying, and to see that support of you, like encouraging him on the sidelines, I think that's dope. And if anything, that's something you should continue to do. Yeah,
we working on a brand deal, because we here at
you
the
better be like LeVar Ball.
No, I want to be a little bit less hands on. I kind of want him to do his thing. I don't want to interrupt with his progression.
Yeah,
but he's one of the only kids I've ever known that wanted Dwayne Wade shoes. Now, Dwayne Wade is a pioneer in fashion as an NBA player. I
didn't even know he had sneakers.
Yeah, he was one of the first NBA players to really branch off into that world. That's how he got with Gabrielle Union and all that. So originally he was with Converse. Then he ended up getting with Jordan. And eventually he ended up going to like a Chinese company called Li Ning. Now, Dwayne Wade's had sneakers for years. But you've never heard of anyone wearing his sneakers, right? I guess.
Where do you buy them at?
We bought them from China. It took like 2 weeks for us to get them. We had to wait for the size to come in. But I was so kind of proud of Jaden for wanting to be outside of the box, find something that no one else is doing, and really take advantage over that. So
be like his own person.
So we're gonna do like a tape deck. I want to make sure I get all his footage, literally, because he got sneakers.
He better go to a D1 school, full scholarship. That's what it's
we just want him to live his dream out.
I'm speaking that out to existence.
I appreciate you.
And if it happens, we gonna go back. When it happens, we gonna go back to this video and be like, Dana called it first.
Yeah, and when Jaden beat her in Connect 4.
No, I beat him.
Oh.
Yeah, like he won one time. I beat him.
We gonna
like
get him on
times.
the podcast one day.
When he's over 18.
Why you gotta be over 18?
What we gonna talk about with a 12-year-old?
Maybe that's some good content.
We'll see. We'll talk about it off
But
air.
I'm super duper proud of that. And Nori, I can't help it. I'm a dad, y'all. You know, I just kind of
Dad life. No, that's dope though.
Like,
you are a dad who like truly cares about the elevation of your children, and you're happy and proud to talk about them and their strides and things they got going on. So I commend you for that.
Yeah. Now I just gotta be a better partner than a dad also, and I'm just gonna
Partner for who?
Just in general, I have 2 mothers of my children that I need to make sure that I'm doing everything for. So
do you feel like you're lacking in any way?
I did. I actually had a conversation with Nashima about this, and it's like our balance is a little off. Like, she does a lot more when it comes to being a nurturer, cooking, cleaning, doing all these things that obviously I can do.
Yeah, I would say with the nurturing piece, that is something that comes natural to women. But with the cleaning and, you know, the domestic stuff, that is something that you can just help out.
Here's the thing. I told her, I said, it's not that I'm bad at it. It's that you're great at it. No.
Oh.
It's levels, right? Like, my mother domesticated me really, really well. So I can really, you know, handle my own. But it's like, you are exceptional at it. So it's like sometimes I just be watching, like, you got this.
No, ahead, ask her, like, girl, like, show me how you do it so that I could do it like that as well. It sounds like that's what she wants.
Wow.
So yeah, Nashima, I got you. Okay.
Well, what's going on with you? What's
nothing really too much is going on. Like, we just recorded yesterday, so that's basically the catch up. We're doing 2 episodes back to back because next weekend I am going to the Poconos. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually need to fly to Arizona next month.
So we're gonna have to record 4 episodes in the night.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for about a week because my grandma's getting major back surgery on the 12th of June.
My grandmother just got back surgery too. So
yeah, so my grandma, she was in a really bad bus accident in New York back in the 90s to where it like fucked up her neck and her back. So she had her first surgery. It was like the early 2000s where they had to put like rods and screws in her back to literally hold her spine in place. So as she got older, like this was when she was, I think, in her 50s. Now she's like 74. So she's having issues with her hip and shit. And it's not necessarily her hip, it's her back. So they recently did an MRI and x-rays of her back, and it's like, it's so crazy to where like she needs urgent surgery. So they got to take out all of the rods, put more in, and put it higher in her vertebrae because there's a lot of deterioration. So I told her I'd come out and, you know, be there for her surgery.
Now look at you.
Yeah.
I know one thing. She won't date a bus driver.
She got in a bus accident. She not fucking with them. But that's a personal reason, not because of what Ebony K. Williams said. But anyways, I see what you did there. So, guys, we do want to just thank you for tuning in to another episode of the We Outside Afterwork podcast and supporting us, because the engagement on Instagram specifically has reached about 80K as far as like followers interacting with our page. So I think that's super dope. So we're just going to continue to do that and just put out great content for y'all, and we appreciate you.
And obviously, if you guys do want to show up and show out on the We Outside After Work podcast, please, I don't mind the DM, but if you can hit up our Gmail at woawpod@gmail.com, that'd be greatly appreciated. Y'all can send some questions, y'all can send some suggestions, whatever it is that y'all want to do to assist in the pod, you know, let us know.
Yeah, we out here. So on that note, we outside and we out.